Cosmic Outlaw, the legend of Roan Hale. In a galaxy ruled by unbreakable codes and cold machines, one man discovered the most dangerous algorithm of all, Defiance. Part 11. The Vault of Lockhaven and Shadows at Midnight. For weeks the Whispers had circled the greenwood like hawks. Sheriff Kane was moving the Cycle's entire tax harvest credits, rare quantum ores, confiscated heirlooms into the central vault beneath Lockhaven Spire itself for security restructuring. Orbital drones would tighten their net, ground patrols triple. It was meant to be untouchable. Roan Hale listened to the reports around the campfire, storm-gray eyes reflecting flames, and smiled the slow, dangerous smile that made his merry men lean forward. Then we touch it anyway. I in the spire. Lady Mira Eldridge played a far more delicate game. By day she glided through marble corridors and scented banquet halls, trading pleasantries with Kane's allies while her emerald eyes catalogued everything. Guard rotations scribbled on napkins and slipped to sympathetic servants, patrol schedules overheard and memorized, weak points in the vault's power grid discussed in board noble drawers. Lord Thorne and Lady Seraphina, old friends of her father, served as unwitting couriers, passing her coded messages in folded fans or jeweled lockets that reached frontier runners and, eventually, the greenwood. She had even cultivated a quiet alliance with a disillusioned syndicate clerk, trading subtle favors for access codes, whispered in shadowed alcoves. Every smile she gave Kane across a crowded hall was a blade carefully sheathed. Every laugh at his crude jests brought another fragment of intelligence for Roan. Kane himself paced his opulent offices like a caged beast, sweat beading beneath his powdered jowls despite the chilled air. The losses were no longer amusing anecdotes, they were catastrophic. Entire convoys vanished, tax revenues halved, quantum ores meant for off-world shipment redistributed to rebellious settlements. His syndicate superiors called elongated figures of the Veylari Consortium, an alien cartel that had quietly bought controlling interest in Verdant Prime. His governance decades ago had summoned him via encrypted holding the night before. Their images had flickered in his chamber, tall, slate-skinned eyes like polished obsidian, voices a chilling harmonic that bypassed ears and resonated directly in the skull. They spoke of unacceptable variances and corrective measures. Kane had blustered about local unrest, promised results, but their final words lingered like frost. Asterisk, restore profitability, sheriff, or we will restore management. Your species' greed is useful, its incompetence is not. Asterisk, he had ended the call, shaking fury turning to paranoia. Someone in the spire was feeding the outlaws. Someone close. The raid night arrived moonless and wind-whipped, perfect cover. The merry men struck in waves. Alan's jammer song broadcast from the banquet hall turned drone sensors into chaotic static. Storm and the Darios scaled out of walls, silencing sentries with sleep darts. Lyra's troop rehearsed in corridors, distracting clusters of guards. Roan led the vault team himself, Tuck, Kit, Lyra, and both Darios. Descent through service shafts was breathless condensation, slicking gloves, air growing colder, metallic. One misstep on grading would echo like thunder. At the antechamber, elite guards in powered armor loomed. Kit's juggling light spheres drew their helms. Roan and Lyra's shocknet arrows dropped them convulsing. The vault door, triple durasteel, triple locks. Tuck sliced wires with shaking hands, old Legion muscle memory warring with monkish nerves. Kit wedged microcharges. Lyra and the Darios kept watch, tension coiled tighter than bowstring. A patrol rounded early 6 elites, lances humming alive. No margin left. Roan's arrow disabled delete lance. Little John's sudden roar and quarterstaff took 2 from behind. Kit's smoke charges bloomed thick and choking. Blades and staffs flashed in confined space, barks, grunts, the sickening thud of armor on stone. One Dario took a glancing lance burn across the ribs, hissing pain but staying upright. Storm hauled him clear. The door blew. They flooded in, bags filling with credits, heirlooms, ores. Alarms screamed at last. Escape turned desperate. Shafts upward became nightmare. Laser grids slicing red through smoke. Drone searchlights stabbing from above. Grapnels fired blind. Lyra flipped through grids with impossible grace, disabling nodes mid-air. On the roof, orbital targeting locks flickered seconds from strike. Roan loosed EMP arrows. 2 drones plummeted burning. The rest scattered under Alan's renewed jamming. They leaped into treeline as spire floodlights swept empty stone. Forest swallowed them, but not all intact. In the frantic glide back to camp, one voice was missing. The younger Dario, scarred by the lance graze and the raw terror of near incineration, had faltered at the treeline. When the group regrouped deeper in the expanse, his sled was gone. Tracks showed he had veered north, alone toward distant settlements. The close brush with death had been too much. The wild freedom he'd tasted soured into panic. He'd bolted, vanishing into the night rather than face another raid. The victory, though complete, carried a bitter note. Dawn's celebration at camp was fierce but subdued at the edges. Wine flowed. Songs rose along weaving. New verses of vault-cracking glory, but eyes kept drifting to the empty space where one Dario should have danced. Roan stood apart, accepting quiet congratulations, gaze fixed on distant spire lights. Soon later that day, in the estate's warm kitchen hall, Friar Tuck recounted the tale to Mira and the gathered household. He lingered on the danger of the lances, the alarms, the rooftop sprint with orbital fire seconds away, watching her face pale, fingers tightening on her cup. Then he told of the lost dancer, voice gentle. One of the Darios couldn't bear the weight of it after the burn in the near miss. Slipped away north. Sometimes freedom sharper than any blade. Mira's eyes glistened briefly, but her chin lifted. Bear. He chose life, then stayed and broke. Tuck nodded, then of Ned Baroni stood steady through it all, never wavered. She met the friar's knowing gaze, hope burning brighter, despite the cost. That night, Mira moved through her chamber with quiet purpose. The postern gate would be unbarred at midnight by the sympathetic guard. She wore dark riding leathers beneath a commoner cloak, longbow case slung across her back, the same heartwood bow from her girlhood glades. Her heart raced with anticipation so keen it felt like flight. Soon she would slip down the ancient stairs, through the poster and into the expanse. Roan would be waiting in the glade where their arrows had first flown true together. No more watching from balconies, no more coded messages and distant triumphs. Just the two of them, side by side, rewriting the world with bow and will. She paused at her window, fingers brushing the glass, imagining his scarred smile, the warmth of his hand closing over hers. The kiss that had waited years to become more than farewell. Rough hand seized her from behind. A coarse bag dropped over her head, plunging her into suffocating darkness. Fabric scratched her face. The world muffled a panicked heartbeat and her own sharp inhale. She twisted, mouth opening to scream. The blow cracked against her temple. The pain exploded wide. Then nothing.